Hello and welcome to this episode of the Corporate Escapists TV show and podcast. I'm your host, Christine Innes, and I'm super delighted to have the very beautiful Jordan Wright joining me. Welcome, lovely.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm super excited because we've obviously known each other for for just over 12 months or so now, but just to see your journey and what you've done, I just want to say a massive congratulations because it is just incredible. It makes my heart sing to see amazing, incredible women shine. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's been a journey.
It certainly has. So do you want to just share, before we get into having a chat, do you want to share with everyone sort of, what you've been doing sort of like in the past 12 months, because it really is incredible of what you've been able to achieve.
Yeah, so what happened is would have been maybe just over 12 months ago, I actually won a publishing contract for my book, The Mandala Chronicles, the first book of my series, The Mandala Chronicles. And then that has just absolutely snowballed the rest of my business along with it. So my book, The Mandala Chronicles, I wrote it to be a mix between Harry Potter and The Secret. And my inspiration behind it was when me and my brothers were kids, we would go outside and we would get our sticks and we would cast spells and we would completely, immerse ourselves in that Harry Potter world. And I came up with the inspiration of The Mandala Chronicles to be, what if I could create a world where people can immerse themselves like we did with Harry Potter, but learn gratitude and manifestation and visualization and talk about the ego and everything like that. And what's happening, which has been absolutely incredible, because my book got published at the end of last year, so it's still fairly new. What happened is that it's actually happening. What I envisioned for this book is actually happening. So a friend of mine is a grade 3 teacher. She took the book and read it, fell in love with it. She read it to her grade 3s, which is 8-year-olds. And these 8-year-olds every day would be like, can we read more? Can we read more? Or at the end of the day, if they hadn't done their gratitude or their visualization, or they hadn't done their deep breathing, they would sit at their desks after the bell had rung and they would do their gratitude and their manifestations. And I mean, 8-year-olds, I don't know about you when I was 8. I mean, I wanted to run out of that classroom as fast as possible. But to get them to sit there and do these techniques that I've weaved into the book in a completely fiction manner, my character is learning along with the same way as the people who are reading. It's just so incredible. And the other thing is because I talk about the ego and how your thoughts aren't necessarily true. These younger kids who don't realize yet that everything they think isn't true, actually started opening up and talking about what was bothering them and what was going on in their lives. And my friend said that she could physically see their shoulders start to relax. Like these kids that carried anxiety were starting to relax. And I mean, I almost burst into tears when she told me, because that's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then what happened is, because I won this publishing contract, my other side of the business, which is my ghostwriting, snowballed as well, because it gave me so much credibility. People said, oh my goodness, you know how to write. I need help. So it's just, everything has just fallen into place. And when you're on the right path, it was one of those things that it took a long time for me to figure out that this is what I wanted. But the people I'm helping and the people who have whose books I've been able to write and who's been reading my own books have been a dream. It's like I'm living in this completely different world than what I was 12 months ago when we met.
Yeah, and I just love it though, because it's like a crazy ride, isn't it? Like when you really are starting to really find and follow your purpose in life, and it seems like you have these pinch me moments, like going, this is what it's really all about. Like this is really what you've been working towards, and you wonder why it's taken so long. But sometimes I think we have to go through all those hurdles in life to really, I guess, appreciate these really wonderful moments that start to happen in life as well.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I noticed is that the reason I feel like it took so long as well is because I hadn't yet met the people who were going to be my biggest cheerleaders. I hadn't yet met the people who are going to support me the most.
Yeah. And look, honestly, I think you've touched on something that's really important, because when we talk about obviously going into business, or even if it's just like a side hustle or doing a hobby or something like that that you love, you do need to have your champions. But it's really hard to sort of sometimes find out who is sort of like your right tribe. And I really love, there's a really amazing book by Brene Brown, and she talks about you have to sometimes walk alone into the wilderness for you to be able to find your tribe. And I find that sometimes we feel alone, but in that aloneness, that we actually end up finding the right people that are going to be our cheer squad, you know, our supporters, and really help lift us up in life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I say the same thing to people who are looking to write their books, who chat with me and they say, I don't think anyone will buy it. And I said, the world needs your story. If there's no one in your immediate circle who wants to read your book, then expand your circle. You know, it's because everyone has a story that needs to be told. And I 100% believe that. But people second guess themselves, sorry,
Yeah.
because the people in their direct vicinity aren't their biggest cheerleaders. And so as someone who has completely probably changed circles in the last 12 months, I'm a huge advocate for just changing your circle if need be. You don't need to get rid of the other people, but you know, you have your friends and you have your business friends, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think what you just said before is really, is very key, because the fact is that sometimes like stories is what allowed me to change my life. And I think, like, you know, my story, and you know, by watching and listening to other people's stories gave me the courage and also the inspiration that I needed to be able to go, oh, well, there is actually something else out there for me, and I could go for this, and you know, it is possible. So I am a big champion, you know, and this is why I also started the Corporate Escapists, is to help share these stories, because everybody needs somebody else. And everybody is so beautifully unique that you are the only one that can really share the story in your own words, you know, like, and get it out there, because who might resonate with me may not, you know, resonate with somebody else, and vice versa. So I think there's somebody out there for everybody.
I 100% agree. It's when people say, oh, I thought about writing a book, but you know, but then I didn't have time, or no one wants to read it or anything like that. And I just kind of like jump at them. I'm like, no, you know, that's not the case. You know, don't second guess yourself. You know,
Yeah.
your story is so important. Like, you're doing the world a disservice by not sharing your story. You know, your story
Yeah.
is not yours to keep.
Yeah.
And people forget that. They forget that the impact that they can have on others, maybe because they have had some trauma to overcome, or they haven't had the support they need before. But yeah, you're like, your story is not yours to keep. The world, there is someone in the world, and probably many someones in the world who need it. And that's what I love about my ghostwriting and helping people with their own books, is that I get to show them how amazing their manuscripts can be. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you actually start working with clients and you're talking about like the ghostwriting, because, you know, it is such a newer type of concept out there. What sort of like, let's run through sort of like a little bit the process to give everyone an overview of what you do, because I think it's really important, because I mean, I was in a co-authored book, and it was so daunting to start off with, to think, oh my goodness, like I only had to write a chapter. So, you know, it was one chapter, but when you're writing a whole book for yourself, having that person sort of go through it and, you know, talk through it and, you know, really sort of help craft it, I think
Yeah.
is important. So let's run through it so everyone sort of gets an idea of what, you know, ghostwriting is all about.
Yeah. So I do it differently to probably a few other people. I know that my publisher, who has a ghostwriting service as well, she does it completely differently to me. But the way I work with it is super intuitive and like energy connected. I really believe that there needs to be a strong energy connection between me and the author, so that it's not my book, it's still the author's book, you know? So the way I do it is I chat to them about their intentions for the book, how they've seen it in their head, and then we create some power questions. So for every chapter that they feel the book needs, we will create a power question. And with each power question, I get them to voice note the answer, because that's how the energy exchange happens. Is when they voice note it, their energy is then passed through the book, and it gives me a better idea on their language that they use when they're speaking. so that when I go in and I fine tune it and I edit it and I format it and I expand on it, it's still their words, it's still the author's book, but I am just finished finalizing it for them. I'm doing the ghostwriting. So yeah, so that's basically it. It's a really, really simple process that I have created. And I tend to go, the first chapter usually tends to take the longest, because I go through and I take everything that they've written in the first draft, in the first chapter, and just confine it, just make it neater so that they can see the information that they're sharing. And we make sure that there's nothing else they want to add, or if they've repeated themselves a few times, we make sure that they're happy with the information they've created. And the first chapter does tend to take the longest as well, because I go back and forward quite a few times to make sure that the language that I'm using is the same language that they want to use. And from that, it flows quite easily. And then as I complete each chapter, I let them know, and then they can either wait until I finish the first draft completely, or we can go chapter by chapter. Because I do this with my own books as well, I do a lot of drafts. When I ghostwrite for people, I like to do about 4 or 5 drafts, because as you go through and as you read it, as you become more familiar with the story as a ghostwriter and as the author, we often go, oh, we need to add this in, or sometimes we even need to add a whole new chapter, or we need it. There's things that you get the inspiration to add in. I finished a book for a client at the end of last year, and I was almost ready to send it off to her so that she could go and get it published. And I said, wait, we need a new chapter. We need to add this chapter at the end. And she was like, oh my goodness, you were so right. So we were on the 5th draft, and we had to add in this chapter, which again we did a couple of drafts all to make sure that it was right. So it's the way that I work with people is such a combined effort. Like, it's still the author's story, and I love working so closely with my authors, but I just take it and I do all the edits, and because I do so many drafts and I spend so much time and love on it, the most amazing friendships are kind of formed, because it's a really personal kind of process as well.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you're saying that it's like very energetic, and I'm very spiritual, so I do understand the whole energy connection with it, and really having to be able to tap into that and being intuitive as well, so that you can sort of pick up on it, which I think really helps. And sort of, as I said, it takes it to a whole different level, because when you don't have that connection with that person, it's very hard to sort of sink into how their thoughts and feelings are during that time that they're writing that chapter, or writing the book as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know straight away if someone's going to work with me or someone's not going to work with me, because you can tell whether they connect to this process or if they don't, or whether they need more structure, and not that this isn't structured, it's just a lot more intuitive.
Yeah, definitely. So what is the goal then for your book series?
Oh my goodness. I'm so excited. So like I said, the first one got published last year. The second one is going to be published this year. And I'm currently writing the 3rd book, and there's going to be 5 of the series. Wow. And the big goal, the big dream, is to create a bigger impact than Harry Potter, because I just feel like after the feedback I got from my friend who with the grade 3s, I feel like this book and this series can just help so many people, and they just really give them the chance to immerse themselves in the story and learn these things. And if I help one child go outside and sit in the grass, in the sun, with their feet in the grass, and just release everything, then mission accomplished. I wasn't doing that when I was 8. I don't know about you, but I certainly wasn't doing that when I was 8. I would process things so differently now if I knew about this when I was 8.
Absolutely. I think I probably wouldn't be such the overthinker that I am right now, like to be able to, I guess like connecting with feelings and that as well is something that, as I left the corporate world, I was actually so disassociated with feelings, because I became actually quite numb. So I actually had to even, as an adult, learn all of those different types of feelings and how my body was reacting to them again. So I think, as kids, having a character or so for them to relate to, so that they can, express express and, you know, go, oh, well, you know, this is how this character does it. This is how they do it. And they don't feel so alone. They feel like they've got like a champion for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you say that, because relearning my emotions is something I'm going through right now. So much has happened this year, and some of it's been amazing and some of it's been awful. And I've had to relearn to process my emotions. So there was a situation where my mum was just trying, I was upset, and we were trying to like work through some things, but my mum was giving me all of this advice, and I had to kind of get to the point where I was like, I don't need advice, I need a hug. You know,
Yeah.
I need to have a cry. And it was and it doesn't seem like a big thing, but for me, who was constantly trying to think, what's next, you know, how do I fix this, to kind of just step back and be like, oh wait, I can't fix this, I just need to process it, you know. And then I find that after you process it, that's when everything starts to fall into place anyway. And so the thing I love about this is that while I'm still learning, my characters are still learning. So as I write these books, I get to share everything that I'm learning into my books, which I think might be why I'm learning everything so hard and fast now.
Yeah.
And it's taking me, I'm personally going through so much stuff, is because I need to put it in these books. It's you know, the universe or my channel or whoever's guiding me to write these books is telling me that this needs to go in the books. These kids or these people read this. And I don't like saying kids all the time, because I have 8-year-olds who love it and 70-year-olds who love it. So I'm trying to, relearning your emotions. And I'm trying to make my characters as emotional as possible. And I purposely made the main character a boy because I wanted to not make him cry all the time, but I wanted to show that he is learning to process his emotions, and, you know, that crying is okay for boys and asking for help is okay for boys, and not knowing what you're going to do is okay for boys as well. And I know that the women empowerment, and we're going through so different things as genders, which is a completely different subject. We have the women empowerment and the equality for women, but at the same time, the world is trying to make it okay for men to feel as well. So I have to try and weave the two into the books to make it, to show that, you know, the women, because the women in the book are the powerful, knowing people, and then the boys are learning, or the boy is learning, so, and showing his emotions. So I'm trying to like flip things around a little bit. And it's funny because I didn't realize that that's what I was doing when I was writing it. It was only when I came back and started to reread it, I was like, oh, this is actually, you know, flipping the roles. So I tell people when I wrote the book that I channeled it, because the book just came out of thin air basically, and I fully believe it when I read back, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is powerful here, or this part's powerful here, or this will hit people differently here. And I'm hoping not to please everyone, but I'm hoping that it's going to help, just, I don't know, just, I'm hoping to create something, that this new world that we're creating, that people can, you know, rely on, that it can be one of those books that people, whatever age they are, will just sit and read once a year, like I do with Harry Potter. You know?
And I'm super excited, like, obviously, to help share that with you, because you are also in the February issue of the Corporate Escapists magazine, which comes out on Monday, the 15th of February, which I'm really excited to, you know, just share even more of your story and, you know, put it out there for people to learn. So I just want to say a massive congratulations and thank you so much. And I am going to pop all the details where you're going to be able to reach out to Jordan, where you can get a copy of the book. If you have a story within you that you want to, you know, get out there, get in touch with Jordan. She is an incredible writer, and honestly, I have worked with her personally myself as well. So yeah, she is amazing at what she does. So please make sure you reach out to her. Thank you, beautiful, for being here and sharing your story. And I just know that, you know, what you're doing is going to help change so many incredible lives. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure.
My pleasure. I want to thank everyone for watching this episode of the Corporate Escapists TV show. Don't forget to hit subscribe, like the channel, and comment below if you've got any questions that you want to reach out to either myself or Jordan. We'll be happy to answer everything for you. Totally lost my train of thought there. Totally so bad. But make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit like, and give us any comments or feedback that you would like. And remember to live life to the fullest and follow your passion. Love and light to you all.